All right. Welcome to Convention Tea, where we tell our convention horror stories, or survival stories, or war stories. This is our second time doing something like this. Our first episode was a recap of 2020, and since conventions are closed, we might as well just continue giving content to you. We are Scholar Rhapsody. We normally do convention reports, but since conventions are just kind of not in season right now, let's just talk about convention culture and have some tea while we're at it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm drinking some, it's from Big Bear. It's called Witch Mountains Brew, and it's a honey lemon tea. How do you rate it, Jared?
It's fine. Not a big honey tea person, but it's fine.
Yeah. And I didn't have to add honey to this tea. All right, next slide. Hello, fellow kids. Who are we? Again, we are Scholar Rhapsody. We've been into conventions since the early 2000s. I know my first convention was Anime Expo 1999 when it was in Anaheim. I only went for a day, and it was back in the day when where you had the option of buying a dealer's hall only pass for $10 a day. So
they discontinued that around 2004?
They discontinued that around the early LA years.
Oh, maybe so it was later than that.
Yeah, they still have like the dealer's hall only pass until about like, I don't know, the early Los Angeles years.
Because I had several friends who used to do that.
My first convention again was AX 1999. Started cosplaying at Animagic 2000, and we will have some Animagic stories in this. We got some background for that. I've been cosplaying since 2000. Since then, competed in Masquerade, won awards, been published in magazines, and just been doing panels. And I just like going to conventions. They're just an escape from real life. It's been like that since I was in high school, and now I'm a working professional, and I still enjoy dressing up. I still enjoy going to conventions because, like, I need something fun to do on the weekends where I can just kind of be proud to be the nerd I am. All right, Jay, how long have you been going to cons?
Well, if you're going to count the early, like, little local sci-fi con thing, I've been going since 1993-ish. Always have my great story of meeting a Klingon cosplayer who I bumped into and then ended up saying something to me in Klingon that was quite threatening. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was a terrifying yet exhilarating moment in my life that made me want to wear Trek cosplay. I have yet to wear Trek cosplay.
You want to do one of those movie versions,
I
right?
like the movie uniform, yes. The original movie's uniform's not the garbage later movies.
So you
I
might
like
see
the red military-looking style for those who are familiar. Rathacon uniforms.
So you might have seen us at cons, running panels, entering masquerades. So Scholar Rhapsody, we do a lot of different like multimedia type things at conventions. And we enjoy telling stories. So that's one of the things why we wanted to start Convention Tea.
Which even my history just had a story in it. In addition to that, starting anime conventions, I finally learned that they existed around 2000, 2001. And started cosplaying around 2007, 8-ish. And then been a YouTuber and a streamer and a little bit of everything because I'm a jack of all trades type.
And you're reviewing alcohol tonight.
And I'll review alcohol tonight, yep.
All right, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Jay.
I covered most of that. If you want to check out my Gunpla reviews and movie reviews, it's on a YouTube channel called Dapper Bard Games. My first Gundam history video was supposed to come out yesterday, but due to some life stuff and some researchy stuff that took longer than expected, it'll probably be coming out on Sunday or Monday. And then after that, I'll get a few more Gunpla reviews in and more history and then stuff like that.
So we see here we've had some cosplays of you as Gilgamesh,
yeah,
Bright, and Giovanni.
Yeah, and I was in one session of CWF. That was fun. As Gilgamesh, and then 2020 happened, and I couldn't do any more sessions, and I felt very...
Yeah, this Gilgamesh photo here was like the last time you cosplayed at a convention. It was like very casual Gil.
Yeah, casual Gil's my standard. I'm not going to walk around in a gold suit all the time. It can get dirty. I don't want the suit to get dirty or damaged. So that's only for CWF weekends.
And we'll definitely upgrade that in the future.
Oh, I want to totally go as Gorgeous P from the summer event with the summer outfit, and then have like a Queen of Sheba or a oh god, what's his name? What's his other bodyguard? Dion, Xavier Dion. One of the two, like following me around, would be great.
Yep. I'm Dame Scarlet Aznavour, but you can call me Scarlet. Here are just some photos of my cosplays. I'm pretty much known for being like the local Sailor Mars out here, which is funny because back in New England, where we used to live, I was known as like the local Sailor Moon. And then I recently cosplayed from Demon Slayer. There's my Shinobu cosplay that I recently did a private photo shoot with at Elysium Studios. And then there's one of my older cosplays from Vocaloid. Who remembers that? Alright, this topic of this episode of Convention Tea is traveling to cons. There's a lot of different ways where we travel to cons, whether it be by plane, road trips, trains, buses, Ubers, Lyft, or like a ride from a parent. So, Jay, what is your favorite method and least favorite?
My favorite method is through an Uber or something like that, where I can just get picked up, dropped off, and then move on with life. My least favorite is... Originally I was going to say airplanes because I've had a lot of airplane nightmare stories, but when you reminded me that buses exist... Ugh, buses.
Yeah, we got some stories, and I think that's the first one we'll kick off with. My favorite way of traveling is through airplane. I've been doing air travel since I was 3 years old. My first like international flight was going to the Philippines, so I've been used to like traveling long distances via plane. And when I was in university, going back and forth between San Francisco to Los Angeles, that was a doozy, just a 45-minute flight. So I've always, if I had the choice of road trip up to San Francisco or taking a flight, I'm like, okay, I'll take a flight, no issue. And I'm also a Southwest Frequent Flyers member, and also I used to be part of JetBlue's Frequent Flyer program, but after racking in a lot of points on my credit card for Southwest, like, okay, yeah, I got some loyalty to Southwest. Disclaimer over here. Least favorite method of traveling, I would say by bus, because we've had quite a bit of horror stories traveling from bus terminal to our destination and vice versa. While where we used to live in Boston, buses from New York or to Connecticut or even to Western Massachusetts, they were relatively affordable. Like if you're lucky, you can get like a one way for $1. But just remember, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Because there's the difference between affordable, cheap, and value. Okay, I think we covered like just the pros and cons. Okay. All right, let's talk about our first horror story, the Terminal from Hell, otherwise known as the New York Port Authority. Once upon a time, we had a last-minute trip to Otakon from Boston. So the distance, if we were to fly from Boston to Baltimore, would have been like a 4-hour, not really a 4-hour flight.
No, it'd be like a 2-hour flight.
Yeah, like
tops.
Yeah, not too long. Just a quick crapshoot of like a 1-hour, 90-minute flight from Logan to whichever DC Metro airport we were flying into.
And then just train in towards the convention center.
Mm-hmm. Or just take an Uber, because, yeah, that train can be pretty sketchy. But more on that later. So we had a very last-minute trip out to Otakon. We weren't intending to go to Otakon, but we just ended up just deciding last minute to just go forward with it. We were able to score a last-minute hotel room. And
that was the bigger thing, is we just couldn't get a hotel room.
Yeah, and also, like, I was kind of struggling getting time off from work. And plus, it was also my birthday weekend, too. It's like, wait, I can't get, like, my birthday off from work? What's going on? But long story short, I was able to kind of figure it out. Okay, we leave on night of day 0. We see about, like, booking a bus in the evening to then arrive day one of Otakon,
Red Eye Bus
Drive, and we also had a panel that day too. Yeah.
Here's the thing about like sleep deprivation and memory. I had no recollection of us running a panel.
Oh, we were running a Sailor Moon panel.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
that's cruise control for me.
Mm-hmm. So what happened was we ended up taking the bus from the South Station over in Boston, and then we had to transfer buses in New York. So we had about like a 4-hour bus ride from Boston to the New York Port Authority. I'm like, okay, it's just bus terminal. Like, it can't be too bad because the one out in South Station, it's pretty clean. It's decent. But New York Port Authority, and it's like 2 a.m.
It is the sketchiest, most
It's
dirty,
a hellhole.
dingy place I have ever been at 2 a.m.
You're a soaked hellhole.
Your sensors don't like that. You got to say pee-pee soaked heck hole.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like, I think there was like a 2-hour wait, or was like a 1 hour wait between our next bus.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Something like that.
And we wanted some place to sit where like we would be like left alone by some of the hobos that were just kind of like just hanging out there. And we're like, okay, if we go to this restaurant and maybe if I order something.
It wasn't even a restaurant. It was a little like.
It's a place where they sold like chicken fingers and like Coke.
Yeah, it was a kiosk almost.
Yeah, if we just sit here and if I order something, maybe let's sit here and just kind of just rest our heads for a bit. And they would even let us do that.
Yeah, they started yelling at us upon the second of our arrival, and we just grabbed our stuff.
Hey, I was going to buy something from y'all, so if I just...
be dicks about it, then we're just going to leave.
Yeah, that station was just like...
We found like
the worst.
I didn't think we could find a bench. I think we literally found a wall.
And we had to like use our luggages just kind of as temporary pillows or something to like lean against that was clean.
Yeah. And I mean, the second our bus arrived, I think we were the first in line.
Yeah, okay, first in line, let's get on this thing and just...
Here's our luggage, we're finding a seat, and we're done.
And you were like having like almost like post-stress PTSD from like being in that terminal, because you were talking to me like on the bus ride. He was like, yeah, I'm glad we're out there. Chrissy's coming. And the bus driver decided to chastise him for even talking.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I think this just teaches a lesson not to
never take a bus and
ever
everyone
again.
from New York's a dick. It's because I have a condition wherein if I'm in places that I feel are dirty or unclean, I start to freak out about it. And because of this condition, you can imagine being in a place like that would probably bother me. And not even having a clean place I could sit down without getting yelled at by someone does not put me in a good frame of mind to then go on a bus, finally have some breathing time, talk with you a little bit, to as soon as people are on the bus driver yells at us for like not being quiet.
Yeah, because you kind of needed to vent.
No one was asleep on that bus, by the way. No one was asleep.
And we were like the only ones sitting in the front part of that bus.
Yeah.
And like you needed to vent and you needed to say something because like that was going to be an awkward like 4-hour ride from New York to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were able to get a taxi from the station to then get to our hotel and find out that our hotel person is not taking their calls and like we need to seriously lie down. Because, like, yeah, we have a panel in a few hours.
Because what I remember is we didn't have... Because
I was getting sassy.
Like there was the continental breakfast thing, which is where the person was. You went in to find the person. I'm literally laying against a wall, half asleep, with one arm on one bag, the other arm on the other bag, just waiting for you to come back. And when we got to the room, I literally fell asleep on the floor.
And then we had a panel later that day. The end. All right, next story. Now, this is on you. It's missing a flight.
So
how unfortunate.
Like I said, I'm a person who generally hates air travel, and I have plenty of getting screwed over at the airport stories. But this one's one of my favorites. This one was my first time going to SoccerCon. So it was about 2006, I want to say, maybe 2007. And everything went great. And our last day, we stayed one extra day so we could actually, have fun with friends that were in Washington. And so we're going around, we're doing everything, and having a good time. We get to the airport with plenty of time to spare. We run into the person at the kiosk, and like, oh yeah, cool. It's like no one was there. It was like we just literally walked directly up to the counter, and the person's like, oh, cool, yeah, you guys are here, yeah, the flight's in, have a bunch of time. Like, cool. So that's it? So yeah, that's it. Like, oh wow, it's nice to know that your terminal's pretty empty. Well, the reason why the terminal was empty was because everyone was in security. And not just was security packed with a lot of people, which, okay, can slow you down. The machines broke. So the scanner machines broke, I think, on all but one of the things. So either you had to go into the hand pile or you had to go into the machine pile. And there was no win on this one. This wasn't one where you go sit there going like, well, that one's going really fast, this one's going really slow. It's just you couldn't win either way. And I think we went through the scanner thing, so we thought the scanner might go quicker. Plus, if they got other scanners open, we could just, but they didn't. So we got through all that. We literally saw how much time we had lost. And I think I had like my backpack in one hand, my jacket in another hand, and my shoes untied. And same thing with my buddy. And we're essentially running because there's this train you take from one section of the airport to where our terminal is. Get there just in time to see it leave. And we're like, okay, as long as there's one that comes within the next 2 minutes, we should be good. And so we're sitting there, putting our jackets on properly, backpacks on properly, tying our shoes, going, come on. 5 minutes later, arrives, hop on it, get through it, get to the airport we're supposed to be at, mad dash to the gate to then be told the plane just left 2 minutes ago. So that if somebody had gotten on that tram, we would have made it. We'd have been just at the last second, but we would have made it. But instead, everything at the airport was against us. And this wasn't one like, oh, well, we showed up 5 minutes before the flight, so that's like, no. Plenty of time before the flight. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Murphy was just flipping us the bird and laughing at us for no reason. And to make matters worse, we were kind of low on cash funds. We were at a part of the airport that didn't have a lot of restaurants or anything.
Oh, I hate those terminals.
And we're essentially sitting there just like hungry and bored. And after a certain point, your DS runs out of battery. Out of a certain point, you have almost nothing you can really do. And you're just sitting there going like, whoa, how much longer do we have to wait for the next flight? The good news is the airport didn't charge us or anything. We just got on the next plane. It just happened to be a 3 hour, maybe more than that wait, with no food or drink. When our plan was, we'll fly back and grab food on the way home. No. Nope.
And then in the chat we have CWF Network. Hello there. All right, let's talk about the time that our car broke down after Animagic. We told two stories. Well, you told a story about like leaving a con. This is another leaving the con horror story.
Mm-hmm.
So just to put things in context, Animagic is in Lancaster, California. This is like the middle of nowhere. It's like a 90-minute drive from Los Angeles, and it's in like this desert area. And getting a taxi from LAX to the convention hotel area is almost like a $200 taxi cab ride. And that's in $2,000, like year $2,000. Just to kind of give you, for those of you who don't live in California, just giving you an approximate.
That's not the way to get there. You don't take a cab there.
I actually did have a friend who took a cab, and she didn't know any better because she was from Chicago, poor girl. Anywho, so we were driving from Lancaster back up to the Bay Area, and we were trying to get on the 101 freeway north. Normally you would take the 5, but we had to drop off someone in Santa Maria. So what happened was, like, just on the way, just on the freeway, I think it was like off the Ventura Highway, which connects to the 101 freeway, the main road we want to get on. Our car blew a tire. We were like in this big van, and then we just blew a tire. There were also minors in the van, and there was a minor who flew out from Texas for this convention, and there was a lot of family yelling back and forth on the phone. I did inform my parents where I was. My parents were in Southern California, and then I told them, like, yeah, it looks like we're going to have to be out here in middle of nowhere. I forgot what city we're in, but it was between Lancaster and getting on Ventura Highway.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice enough for the insurance folks to like just recommend a hotel for us, like a motel to stay the night at. And I believe there was like 8 people with us because again, it was like one of those like big minivans. So like 4 of us to a room, 4 of us to another room. And luckily my parents were like, yeah, we could like just help you just get a flight back up to Northern California, and Mom, Dad, just save your money. Like, it looks like this is all under control. And plus I had like a science exam the next day. So like I was just freaking out because like, yeah, my notes are back in my dorm. Yikes. So yeah, that was just our story, just getting stranded and just trying to stay calm in the midst of chaos. Also, at that same convention, the year before. Oh, wait. No, it was the same year. For some reason, the photo's not showing up. What is going on here? Some photos are showing up, some aren't. Yeah, I guess we could skip that one. Alright, let's talk about leaving Otakon. That same year that we encountered the terminal from hell. This is what we call Panic at the Greyhound.
Oh, yeah. So we ended up having to take probably an Uber or something over to the ground terminal because, yeah, we had the bus back, which was also not fun. Although our stay at the Port Authority was really quick that time, which is good. It was literally like...
There was a reason why it was really quick, people. There was a reason why that stay was really quick, but we'll get to that.
But on the way there, you have everything packed up, and we have a few minutes to wait before you have to get on the bus. And I'm searching around for my DS. I'm like, I'll just game a little bit. And I think I was breeding something in Pokemon more than likely. So like, whatever, I'll do some breeding or what have you, hatch some eggs. Couldn't find my DS, was freaking out, was searching around the place. We ended up having to call, what'd you call, like...
Yeah, I called the taxi service.
The taxi service, whatever. And the guy, like, checked his backseat and was right there, thankfully, just had fallen in the backseat. So I was like, I'm really afraid I'd left it in the hotel room or something. Because that was my bigger thing. I was like, oh god, if I left this in the hotel room, I'm never going to see it again.
Yeah, because we were in the hotel room situation with like 30 people. I'm not joking. Never again.
Yeah. So it was an absurd amount of people in the hotel room. Like, any number of them could have taken it from me or anything like that. And I was freaking out. And thankfully, when we called them, guys like, oh, yeah, I can drive right back. And I was like, I think in the terminal just panic attacking. I think you had to step out and grab it and bring it back to me. And I was like, I'm just broken for the rest of this trip. This trip has done nothing but try to make me miserable, which is sad because I enjoyed the convention.
Yeah, Otakon's a really fun convention.
But the to and from were just trying to break me as a person, and I think successfully did so. It successfully broke me. I'm glad I was able to rescue my DS. I'm glad I was able to just, eventually when I calmed down enough, I could game on the bus ride. But it was really just that point of just, why is everything trying to make this the most miserable trip I've ever been on?
And then there's a follow-up to this. When we got, because basically the trip went like this. The first leg of the trip was Baltimore to New York, and then New York
back
to Boston. And when we were on the tunnel that leads into the Port Authority, it looked like there was like a lot of traffic going on, and we were panicking that we're going to miss our connecting bus to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, we were much more paranoid about staying in the Port Authority for an ungodly amount of time before we can get next buses available. But luckily, I just decided, okay, that's the number of our bus, that's the terminal it's going to leave at. Let's make a bum rush for it and just run like hell because we do not want to be stuck at the Port Authority.
Yeah, she saw it as we were pulling in, and we literally just topped off the bus. The waiting for our luggage was like...
Yeah, it was like no problem at all. It's like, okay, get our luggage.
Got our stuff pretty quick.
Look for that terminal number and to make a mad dash for it. Thankfully, it was right next door.
Yeah, it was like the next one over, which was great. We didn't have to even step inside the wheel facility itself at all. We got our stuff on, hopped on the bus, we're like, done. Just done.
Like, is this trip over with yet? Yeah.
By the time we get home, it's going to be midnight. We're both going to feel like crap, and you're going to have to...
If we're ever back on the East Coast, we're just either going to just take a one-way train or just fly it.
Mm-hmm.
Just bus this never again. Or I can drive it. I just had to figure out if I just need like a co-pilot.
So I think the only bus thing we ever did going to a convention in the East Coast that was actually a decent experience was another anime con going from Boston up to what time? It's a
Manchester. Yeah, it's about a 90-minute bus ride with one refueling stop. And if we were still living in Boston, I probably just would road trip it up there, because that bus, it's like first come, first serve. So you got to be there early to guarantee you a seat.
But I mean, how many people on like a Thursday night or Friday night or whatever it is we're going up to?
No, it's the leaving part of it, because there's only like so many buses that leave after a certain time.
Oh.
Because otherwise you're going to be stranded there for a night.
We really had no issue, and that one was fine. But the other, any kind of longer trip is the worst.
All right, speaking of Boston, Lost in Boston with our disability powers combined.
All right, so
just some background here. Normally, he and I would fly out together, but unfortunately, I had to work that day, so I had to take a red eye into day one. But you were lucky enough to score a flight that would get you into Boston in the afternoon, and it would also intersect with our friend Craig, who was also headed to Anime Boston.
And so we met up at the mall, the
Prudential Mall station.
Well, you had to take whatever trains I had to got me to the Prudential station, which was like, oh, cool, this one's nice. I forget which how much I like this one, because you just go up the escalator and then you're in the building.
Yeah, you're right by Barnes & Nobles.
Yeah. Came across, I think, our friend Bart first, and then he's like, Craig's over doing something else. I'm like, so we found Craig eventually. We're like, okay, I've stayed at this hotel before, or this little bed and breakfast kind of place before. Not that big a deal. And we're walking, and we're like, you know what, I should probably just go and set up my phone to just find the address. So set the phone to find the address. Walk, we make a turn, keep going, I'm looking at the phone going wait a second, we passed it. So we went back the other direction, like, nope, it says we passed it. We're trying to figure out where it is, and there's no sign. There's the only thing that even shows you the building number is it's a floor mat. Except for it was raining, and it had hit night. So now it's just dark. You can't read the mat at all.
And tell them about how both of you have disabilities and try and figure this out.
Yeah, I'm visually impaired and he's autistic, so this was kind of a fun, adventure.
But you figured it out.
Well, eventually we're at a certain point going, okay, the only thing it could possibly be is that building, and I'm not sure, I can't see, we can't figure out the number. We literally walked up to it, and we opened the door, and then there was a person there going are you room such and such? I'm like, yes, we're room such and such. And see the key, go. Thanks for the assistance on the 3 flights upstairs we have to carry with our stuff while being exhausted after a long plane flight, and him after it being Craig. And those creaky stairs and everything are a pain.
So just kind of give you an idea, this bed and breakfast place, there's no elevator, so you have to go up these flights of stairs, and they're very narrow stairs.
Yep. So if you have a larger suitcase, it's a major pain to do.
Unfortunately, the place is now closed because, it's out of business, sadly. But it was a great place if you're going to stay in Boston for a week or more, because the room we got was a hell of a deal, because it came with its own kitchenette, a microwave, refrigerator, and we were right close to a Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I think Craig was eating some sort of Trader Joe's thing he had to heat up, and I think I was just eating stuff I packed in my backpack.
And then I showed up the next morning after my red-eye flight. It's okay, guys, I'm just going to take a 2-hour nap after my red-eye flight.
Yeah, Craig left early, I waited for you, and then you just conked out while I was kind of getting ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just give me 2 hours, and I'll just roll over to the Haikyuu panel, because I was actually flying in my Haikyuu cosplay. Alright, next. I miss Anime Boston. Back to Otakon. 28 minutes later.
So, here's the thing about Otakon back when it was in Baltimore. It's a really fun location. It's a large, very, very large convention center. It has some really good food places like Shake Shack and others. Except for that one time where we could find no place to eat. That's a story in and of itself.
It's going to be for our food edition.
It'll be for our food edition. And everything feels safe and good, and there's police around, and there's security around, and you feel very comfortable and safe, nothing bad could ever happen. As soon as the convention ends, all the police and all the security vaporize. And then all the weirdos start coming out, whether they're hobos or people who clearly look like criminals, or just, people are like, oh, dumb anime kids are still around. I'm going to rob one of them.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of people that you don't want to be around.
And if you're waiting for the train to take you over to the airport, essentially you'll see the people who are Otakon people just slowly cluster into our own little ball, so we feel like we're safe. Like, well, they're not going to attack all of us. This is that herbivore pack mentality. Like, well, look, the train will get the one that's like straggling, but the rest of us are safe.
If we like just stay in like one bubble, we can all be pretty safe, because in Los Angeles, just kind of having dealt with panhandlers, if you just kind of mind your own business and just keep looking straight or just stay distracted, you'll be fine. But panhandlers just out there, they're far more aggressive. Like, if the minute they see you just whoop your wallet out, they'll be very aggro about it. And this is why I just stopped carrying cash on me.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I said, there's a lot of other things that just feel threatening, and just the bubble would just build. And people could tell. Like, this is enough of a thing that happens that people would walk in and go like, oh, that's the anime people. Hi, can I be here? Because
sometimes on that train, even going into Otakon, we would get like just some very nasty comments and some nasty stares from
if you're dressed in any
people.
Sort of showing any kind of regalia, yeah, they'll get that.
Even if you're not in cosplay, if you just even look weird, or like even wear like or even have like differently dyed hair, people will say something and be pretty aggro about it.
Also, I believe that's also the train. I can't not on that way back, but I'm probably one of the ways there. Where the weird person was like barking or something.
I don't remember that.
I remember being on a train to some event, and I just remember someone who was like barking, making weird noises, and like yelling and stuff. And
that probably was in my headphones land.
You probably were, and I was in a position of like, I'm going to keep my eye on this person, because if they flip out and start attacking people, like, I'm not having any of it. I think eventually someone escorted them off, or they walked into a different train car or something. But it was one of those ones where I'm like, oh, cool, that happened.
But I think after that year, we just decided to just split Ubers with friends back to the airport, just to like play it safe. Like, because at that time, I was like, okay, like even though I have the money, I could just take a train, no problem. But I'm like, you know what, just an extra few dollars or so for just our safety. Like, let's just take an Uber back to BWI.
And if you get to the airport a little early, who cares? Mm-hmm. At least you're safe.
Otakon, 28 minutes later. Well, we hope that Otakon does continue on, because we have heard the news that it might not be a thing anymore after 2021. But this con has been very good to us. They've given us panels at their virtual event, panels at their actual event. Mm-hmm. And we just really hope they continue on, because this is one of our favorite anime conventions. And yeah, I'll put a link in the description when this video goes up, where you can donate and support Otakon.
Plus, I've never had a chance to go to their DC era because of timing and travel and things like that.
Because of life mostly, and just kind of where it falls in the calendar.
Mm-hmm. But I would like to go back.
Yes. All right, leaving Anime Vegas. And we got a comment from Rams in the chat. To anyone with that GameStop money, throw a few bucks to them. Yeah. I should start investing in Applebee's or Denny's. Anyway, leaving Anime Vegas. Fear and lots of loathing. Now, this is a duet story that both of us can tell. You see this photo, all of us are very happy. We look like we're in a good mood. This is the last day of Anime Vegas here.
After you had a masquerade win, and my panels went well. And
we're here hanging out with our voice actor friends and just chilling, having a good time. Why, yes, that is a little Kuribo, so you can tell we're having a good time here. And, well, we also had to leave. It was a holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend, one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. And we had to just go on this car ride back to Orange County because we did a carpool. I had freaking flyer miles, so if we had the option of doing so, we could have flown back to any of the Southern California servicing airports in the area and could have figured it out, but we didn't know what was coming. So okay, it's just like a car ride, whatever. Because a friend of ours had to fly back to Sacramento, And then it turns out that we found out in our car ride that we were taking an extra person home, unbeknownst to us. And it's like, okay, it looks like our friend wanted to get together with this one girl, wanted to impress this one girl. She lives in San Diego, but thankfully we were going to be dropped off first, and he was going to just drop her off in San Diego when he was done dropping us off in Orange County. So at least there was that. However, the girl he picked up was a very interesting case.
It's completely insane.
You would think that, like, oh, did the two of you had your headphone devices with you? Yes, we did. We paired. However, there are some situations where the battery that you think you might have drains faster than you think.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I had a Zen Micro by Creative. I love that MP3 player. It was very sturdy. Like, I was very like, I'll take any device other than like this or that. Because, like, yeah, I was like one of those people back then.
I had an iPod that ran out of power almost immediately because either I forgot to charge it, or maybe someone unplugged it to plug in something of theirs. But that also happens in hotel rooms.
Because your iPhone, your iPods are so retro now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, your iPod ran out just like that, like within the first hour. And then my Zen Micro ran out like within like an hour and a half. And those things usually hold a lot of battery, but for some reason the battery decides to drain faster than it usually runs. Because I've had that MP3 player on flights to New York, and it ran just fine. But like, you know what? It happens sometimes. You know, like sometimes when you have like an iPhone, it tells you you're at 30%, and then like you look at your phone and it's like, how did this get to 10%? What's going on?
Yeah.
However, we tried to find a way to tune out this one fangirl who was very obsessive over a voice actor guest at the con, who was a very popular voice actor at the time. And then she started talking about like, oh yeah, we're besties now. He wants me to be a photographer at his wedding and this, that, and the other. And she just kind of like just went on and on for most of the trip about her standing for this voice actor. And we kind of had to listen to every word of that. And we were just finding a way to just tune this out because we can't hide in headphones land.
Well, even the driver got sick of it, you could tell, because eventually he threw in like a comedy album.
And he had to throw in Dane Cook because he wanted, because like, okay, at least we can feel pain again by listening to Dane Cook. No offense to Dane Cook fans.
There are no Dane Cook fans.
But just kind of like just listening to a voice actor stand and just kind of go on and on.
Look, even if it was someone
in traffic,
like we also were friends with, it'd still be in that category of like, okay, yes, we get it.
Can we talk about something else?
You know, can we talk about your favorite show? Can we talk about what you're going to college? What are you going to the college for? We're going to college for other stuff. Well, I'm not anymore. I was graduated by then. But you were going to college for other stuff.
Wait, was I? Oh yeah, I was still in college at the time.
I was recently graduated. So it's one of those things wherein you could have other conversations, and this person did not have conversational abilities. Also, we're fairly certain her or one of her friends also insulted us at a panel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I can't remember if it was her or one of her friends or someone, you know, her clique or whatever.
I know, just someone in that group who liked giraffes. I just remember that.
Yes.
An odd thing to be interested in, but I do like giraffes. They sleep while standing up.
And only sleep for 5 or so minutes at a time. Very fascinating animals.
Rather smart.
But definitely not a fun trip.
Because I think you and I, we tried to see what we can do to change the conversation, even though you and I were just drained in the back seat. It's like, hey, but they just kind of won't stop talking.
After a certain
about
point,
this voice actor.
You just give up. You just start staring out the window, going like, "This will eventually be no." And then you got dropped off first. I got dropped off second. And literally getting back into the house, it was almost like,
I was like, land.
Yeah, it's just those things where they talked about like the old sailors back in the day, where they would, when they got to land, they would just dive to the ground and start kissing the earth.
And then you told your dad the story of just kind of being stuck in the car. Then he responded like, "Well, had I known, I would have gone up to Vegas and picked her up."
Yeah, because he's the kind of guy who would offer that. And I was like, no, I don't want
Yeah,
to.
you don't have to go all the way to Vegas.
If this was Lancaster, if this was LA, there'd be a whole different talk. But no, don't go drive 4 hours to pick me up, then drive 4 hours back. Went there. I think it was at the 2-story place at the time, so it was just. I think I left my luggage at the foot of the stairs. I don't care, I'll get it later.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to take a shower and pretend none of this ever happened.
At least we got home safe.
And then I think I didn't talk to that guy for like 6 months.
Alright, this is my story. So, in this photo is Tony Award winner John Lloyd Young of Jersey Boys. He also starred as Frankie Valli in the movie adaptation by Clint Eastwood of Jersey Boys. There is a story behind this, and so we shared a plane with this guy, and I didn't know it was him until like I got off the flight. So just kind of like constructing the narrative. Jared and I, we were on our way to New York Anime Fest, and then we were taking a JetBlue flight to New York. We usually do the red eye because like okay, we get there next day and then like check into our hotel and just kind of like just nap for like the first day we're there.
That was fun. One of the first experiences I had in New York was being yelled at someone when I was trying to get my train pass and I was super tired.
Oh yeah, and the train ate you.
Yep, that was a different day though.
Yeah, apparently the city of New York wants to kill Jared. That's why he's from Boston.
Yep, almost got hit by a bus. I had a train door close on my arm and start moving. And I pulled my arm in at the last second. It was great. Yeah, it's some fun moments.
Anywho, so we were on this flight from Long Beach to New York, and then I'm just kind of like just kind of like sitting there like in the waiting area, and there's this guy who's dressed in black, and he's looking at me, and then he's just kind of because like you know how you know you're being watched and you're being looked at, and then I just kind of like. Because I've been to his concerts before, I've seen him before, and I just didn't really want to like just draw in any attention. And then I'm like, I'm like, wait, is that John Lloyd Young? Why is he looking at me? Or is he just trying to just hey, it's that person at his concerts and whatnot? But yeah, and then I would just kind of like trying to figure this all out, and then. I didn't say anything to you because at that time like you didn't really know much about my Broadway fandom because it was like in the early days of dating.
I knew that you're into stuff. I don't know any of the people. I still don't, by the way. I'll recognize names. You could show me 3 pictures. I probably wouldn't be able to pick them out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where you have to understand how this guy was dressed. He had he had like a black jacket. He was wearing like a white undershirt and had like a ponytail kind of thing.
And he had longer hair at the time compared to what's in this photo.
I assume it was for some sort of whatever his newest project was.
Because at the time he wasn't really working on anything. I know he was like working like on this like concept album type of thing. And I think this was post his guest stint on Glee, and this was before the Jersey Boys movie was made. So we arrived in New York at the luggage terminal. I'm super tired, but I decided to go up and ask, and just like, hey, John Lloyd Young, is that you? It's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, I did see on Facebook that you're going to be on the flight. Like, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, yeah, like, cool. So I just kind of had a little bit of small talk. And then your first reaction was...
Well, when I first saw him and you were trying to figure out if you knew him, I looked at him and I was like, oh, it looks like Jason David Frank. Because he had the hair, but if you remember how like he had the long hair back in Power Rangers, and he's wearing like a white shirt and like a jacket, and I'm like, I'm just thinking White Ranger there for a moment. And I'm like, he hasn't aged that great, but okay. Thought he'd be still more buff, but whatever. Turns out, no, by the way, Jason David Frank is still buff. He does like MMA and stuff like that, so he kept his butt kicking skills there. But a Broadway actor usually doesn't look like an MMA fighter. So I was at that point going, he's not buff enough. And I don't know, if he's your friend, whatever, I don't care.
It's all good.
My general rule is that I generally just
a lot of people
to a nihilistic response.
A lot of people in the Jersey Boys cast, past and present, have been pretty friendly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about friends with money. All right, so this is a photo of our friend Bart. Let's talk about the time he bailed us out.
He didn't bail us out. We still had to pay money.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But you have to bail us out temporarily, but we paid him back. So once upon a time in Boston,
We were flying out to, I want to say that's also Otakon.
Otakon. It was Otakon.
Traveling to Otakon is the worst.
It
Never
is
do
cursed.
it. If you just live near the con, enjoy it.
No, it's only if you're traveling from Boston to Otakon, it's cursed. But when we were traveling from LA to Otakon, that wasn't such a big deal.
So we ended up having to just go through this absolute hell of trying to get to the airport, to then get to a line where the line was moving at super slow pace. We tried to get the attention of the people and said, you should have gotten here earlier. You should have known that there was going to be people here. Like, we've done this before. This is like more than it normally is. What in the seven hells? So we got blamed for...
We were kind of like asking, like, how can we just move up the line or move up in the line, because we kind of got... well, first of all, our alarm clock didn't go off. Second of all, just going downstairs, because again, our Boston apartment doesn't have an elevator, so we had to go down like a flight of stairs. My luggage fell on me, and I tripped, and like my knee was bleeding.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to like just dust that off before I can like just hail an Uber, because like, yeah, I don't want to bleed over your car. That would be bad. I want to get a 5-star rating. I want to give you a 5-star rating. So I also had to clean that up, and then we just took our Uber. Our Uber ended up taking us there like without any issue. And usually, sometimes at the airport, if you're like about to like miss your, if you're like really close to your, if you're too close to call for your flights, they'll let you move ahead up in line.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to deal with this Karen security person over at JetBlue. Who's like, yeah, I'm gonna victim blame y'all for like arriving late. Like, circumstances happen. Do I need to show you my scab on my knee because like my luggage fell on me?
Got through security and everything, and again, like with my adventure with the SEA, I think it's SEA, is the
Seattle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got there, and I think we heard them call our names, like as the last call, as we were trying to run to it.
No, it already left like 5 minutes after boarding time.
Mm.
So it left a little bit early.
That's
Okay,
right, it left early. That's what it was this time. Yeah.
Okay, even though we checked in and everything, it's like, okay.
They should have known that we would be coming, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then our friend Bard, who had some connections and stuff, was able to get us set up onto his flight. We had to pay a little bit to transfer the tickets and what have you, but...
That's like no big deal.
Mm-hmm. It's still a massive pain, and if the staff had been just, a little bit more friendly with us...
Or a little bit more sympathetic because of adverse situations, because, like, yeah, hey, my luggage fell on me, and I was just kind of getting delayed into hailing an Uber to get to the airport. And we're usually responsible about getting to our flights on time.
Yeah, and again, had they just helped us, we would have made it with plenty of time. Or had the airplane, done its normal, 10 or 15 minutes before leaving thing, we would have been fine. But it happens to be that the plane left really quick, and no one was willing to help us. And it was just, don't fly from or travel in any way or means from Boston to Otakon. It'll never work for you.
But yeah, #thanks Bart.
Now, if you're flying there a week early to see your friend Steve, and you're just going to stay at his house for a week and then go, you'll be perfectly fine. But if it's specifically for the convention, it will not work out.
All right, the time that you were doxxed by a taco. This happened.
Like the phrasing of that, it's wonderful. Okay, so this was a smaller convention in Southern California that actually really liked me. The staff continuously came up to me afterwards, like, "Oh my gosh, can you do more panels? You did like the best panels."
And they actually reached out to us
panels,
after the convention to like, "Hey, do you want to do more panels at our con?" Like, slightly.
It's always
kaput.
The timing of the convention for like the later ones didn't usually work out for us, and then eventually the convention just was disintegrated, which is sad. Because there was a good show. I liked the hotel. The staff was really great people. I really do wish I could have gone to more and helped support it.
Yeah, Town and Country Inn in San Diego. Google it. It is a beautiful venue for a convention.
And one of the people I was doing panels with was being a major pain in the ass throughout the show. It might be listening right now, and I don't care. Deal with it. You were. And on the final day, we had to do a live show of this podcast thing we were doing. and he sprung some stuff on me at the last second that I was not prepared for, and I was super not in the mood to deal with. And last thing you want when you're going to do a live show is have new stuff just like, oh, by the way, new stuff. Like, no. We're just going to do the greatest hits. We're going to get this done. We'll have a conversation about our enjoyment of this con and talk with the audience. Or you can throw stuff at me I'm not ready for. That's also good. But my original plan for leaving, and now I'm in a bad mood. My original plan for leaving was a friend of mine who is a local to San Diego. I was going to spend the rest of the day hanging out with him, and then I was either going to train home or get picked up by family, or stay another day and then go home the next day. And he, for completely unrelated reasons to anything that's going on in my life, ended up getting kind of kicked out of the hotel. And the story for that, I still don't have a complete, clear explanation.
We'll probably tell a story relating to that in our fanboy behaving badly show.
I have a theory as to why, but he himself didn't do anything bad. So he may have lost his hotel room, but he shouldn't have gotten completely removed from premises. And which again wouldn't have even been his fault for that matter. But he then also didn't answer his phone or call me to tell me, "Hey, dude, I'm leaving the con. I'm going to go back home. Call me when you need pickup." So instead, I'm searching around the convention for him, can't find him, trying to call him, can't reach him, and losing my freaking mind. And the podcast partner was like, "Dude, you can ride with me?" And I'm like, "Dude, I want to strangle you right now. This is not the time to let me have and probably an hour and a half from their drive, maybe 2 hours if we had bad traffic, with you right now. I am not in the freaking mood." But I ran into some other friends who were also hitting back, and they were doing a convention booth. And I'm like, "Hey, if I help you clean up, can I have a ride get back for you guys?" Like, "Yeah, sure, we got room." I'm like, "Coolsies." Like, "We're going to grab some food on the way back." I'm like, "Yep, sounds great. I can totally go for food. Food is delicious." Turns out we went to this nice taco place, and it's a good taco place. I ended up getting 2 tacos, and the tacos were like this. They're freaking huge tacos. I don't know if you guys can see both my hands in the camera.
Okay.
And it was really good tacos, and some photos were taken, and I didn't think anything of it. Well, the problem is those photos were then posted, and not only location posted, but also, I was tagged in it. The podcast person I was kind of upset at saw them, and then he got all upset because he wanted to go there and thought I ditched him to go with other people there and did not invite him. To which I'm like, "You're not allowed to be pissed off at me right now. I'm pissed off at you." And so, needless to say, that caused a lot of other tension and problems. But had they not tagged anything, everything would have been fine and no one would have known anything, and I would have had 2 delicious tacos. Instead, my delicious taco experience was soured by having to get the messages of like, "Oh, you're such a jerk, you ditched me, da-da-da." I'm like, dude.
And this was the early days of tagging before there was an established tag etiquette.
Yeah. And look, their heart was in the right place. They're like, "Oh yeah, dude, we should tag all our friends." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I get it. Tag all the friends." But yeah, I generally have a rule of don't tag me and stuff without asking first because of this. Unless it's one of those I'm literally posting a picture of you, then yeah, tag me. If you're posting a picture of me, that's just me in costume play or me at a theme park or whatever, then whatever, I don't care. But it's like that. Otherwise,
feeling depressed on location tag Space Mountain.
Yeah. Otherwise, because of this drama, I'm kind of very much in the mindset of just let me know first. Especially if it's one of those things where I might "Oh, you missed my birthday, dude. Where were you?" I'm like, I don't know where I was last weekend. I definitely didn't forget that you had a birthday. That's for sure. And ditch you to go to Otakon. That's not anything I've ever done. I didn't ditch anyone's birthday for Otakon. There's only one person whose birthday is on that weekend, and it's her.
Fine. Leo. All right. Now this Leo needs some attention. So, sometimes I end up going to conventions just straight from work. So I ended up just taking the bus directly after work, and I just happened to be, it was it's a Friday, I'm wearing my AX staff polo, I'm also carrying my AX staff messenger bag with me. I was packing light for this con because I was going to be there for Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday. And it was just a trip from Boston to Connecticut, which isn't too bad. But
Connecticut.
Yes, I love Connecticut.
I've only been there once. I wish I could go back there every year.
Mm-hmm. I really love Kineticon.
There's some of the weirdest and coolest panels there, and some terrible ones. But like, but they really, if we can have eventually a focus on Kineticon, I would love that. And I remember us really with some like very eccentric but fun people.
It was just we did cram like 10 people in a room, but it was a fun group of young adults just having fun. But any hoot. So again, just kind of was wearing my AX staff shirt on the bus, and then from my bus trip to my connecting bus that would lead me to the hotel, I was like in the standing room next to the bus driver, and I was wearing my work blazer over my AX polo, and my AX bag was from out of sight. And the bus driver is like, was like, "Yeah, aren't you glad you're not one of these freaks on the bus?" I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm one of these freaks." And this is the photo I responded to AX because they were like asking for, "Hey, show some pictures of you wearing our merchandise." Like, well, technically I didn't buy this from you, but these were like staff shirts and staff swag that I got when I was staff in Anime Expo, which, by the way, is my favorite experience of Anime Expo, when I was like staffing your media division. So, oh yeah, I was also wearing my AX staff badge because I wanted to be a dork about it. Because like at AX you get customized staff badges, and I wore a badge that had Haruka from Idolmaster Puchimas edition, where she's like multiplying into gremlins. Yeah, I love Idolmaster Puchimas. Yeah, that's just me just wearing my AX swag with pride, and the bus driver is like, "Aren't you glad you're not one of these freaks?" Like, yeah, I'm one of these freaks.
But I remember the person's thinking, like, driving you to the hotel with all these other people, going like, for all that, they could have thought that, oh, maybe you're part of the staff, or maybe you're one of the guests, but not know. But they didn't even consider that. They just thought you were just a rando who was going on the bus to get to somewhere else. But I like the idea of that. I feel like there's a lot of guests or stuff like that who end up going in for conventions, and all the people are like, "Oh, good, a normal person's here signing in." Yep. Totally super normal, not running any panels or signing autographs or anything like that. I'm not doing that at all.
And I think it was the same year, like the first panel I walked into was a Pollen Storm panel.
Yep. You called me about that afterwards.
Like, Jared, can you explain the comedy of these people? I like them, but I don't quite... I had to leave because their song just wouldn't end.
Yeah, she came in, I think, for like 1 or 2 songs, and then the pirate song started, and she did not realize the joke about the pirate song is the pirate song.
I'm going to go to the Team 4-Star panel right now because it's about to start, and I want to cover more ground.
And for anyone who wants to look at it, you can look up online. Find a live version of the pirate song. Do not listen to the one that's like the album version, because the album version's only like 5 minutes long or something. But it's the live one where they literally keep interrupting the song. And then they start singing again, and they go, "Oh, hold on, you guys are loud enough, so let's start from the beginning."
No, this is one I kind of want to say for more, but like I gotta cover the Team 4-Star panel. It's about to start.
You can find footage of it online, people. I really highly recommend. Paul and Storm are great. They have some really good, funny nerd comedy songs, and they're one of my award-winning AMVs used one of their songs. So, yeah. And they're much more of an East Coast thing, I think, because I don't know. And I know one person on the West Coast. It's the person who I got introduced to it from a friend of a friend. Who's like, "Yeah, my friend like loves these guys, and so I have one of their albums." And then I listen to them and I'm like, "These guys are awesome."
All right, last flight out of DC. We are not having much luck getting out of the DC metro area back into Boston. This is what we call KatsuCon Part 6. KatsuNoCon 2. Quickening. Yeah. So this is one where we were actually pretty lucky. So this was the year 2014, KatsuNoCon, where like a lot of flights were just kind of like adversely on lockdown.
A blizzard hit basically right before KatsuCon started.
Mm-hmm. And there was also an impending blizzard to happen right after as well.
So if you didn't get on the airplane at the right time, you were just going to be stuck in DC for however many days.
Yeah. And
which is pretty cool if you got a Fallout 3 cosplay, not so cool otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just hoping I got the year right for this, but it was also during a time where there was like a huge blizzard that was about to hit Boston.
Yeah, we flew right back into it. That was fun.
And we had some friends who were also flying into Boston. Like, we ran into them like when we were in the seating area in the terminal.
That poor cab driver.
Yep. And then, like, we were getting through security, and you accidentally packed your pocket knife.
It was like in my jacket or whatever instead of
your backpack.
It was in my backpack instead of my luggage. Now here's the thing: I brought my pocket knife in my backpack through security multiple times. In fact, I'm not the only one who has this story. There's a podcast I listen to. One of the staff guys carries around a pocket knife or something like that, and also he usually keeps it in his backpack. And like 19 out of 20 times, they never stop him for it. And I was kind of the same thing where I don't even think about it because I've never been stopped. If I stop before, I'm like, guys, it's a Swiss Army knife. You could just let this one slide. I'm not going to hijack an airplane with a Swiss Army knife. I'm going to get the plane for a bunch of people going to Boston. They're going to beat the living snot out of me before I even get to the cockpit door. And even if I did, what am I going to do? Hit the metal door with my knife? Go, come on. I'm going to eventually open this. Just tink, 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 tink. Like the worst Jason Voorhees ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so luckily we decided we got on to the last flight out of DC because if we were on the same flight as our friends...
The asshole stole my knife, by the way.
Mm.
They could have let me on. There's no big deal. I am one of the least threatening people. It never would have been anything. No one would have cared. They decided to keep my knife. And our option was that airplane flight or no escape. So we were stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I had to give them my knife.
Yes, so we were and it was weird because I do remember thinking about just getting the flight that they were on, but Instinct told me to book this one that we went on because the friends who ended up going on the flight after us, they were stranded in DC for like 2 more days, whereas we were lucky to get on the flight we did, and then when we were getting into Boston, like it was like the snowpocalypse.
Yeah, we ran into someone else we knew and all shared a cab, and that poor heroic cab driver trying to get us all to our apartments.
Yeah, the whole place was just covered in snow.
It was all those ones where, like, at a certain point, I'm like, I think the cab's going to get stuck. And somehow made it to each person's place. And
oh, yes, we did share a cab with a few other people.
Yep.
We shared with one of the directors of marketing from directors of marketing of Anime Boston and Cowbutt Crunchies.
Mm-hmm. But I felt so bad for that cab driver after we got back to our apartment. I was just like, oh man, I hope that cab driver can make it home safely. Because
we tipped him handsomely.
This was absurd. Like, it was not drivable weather at all. This is just someone who's like, I need this paycheck. This is what that cab driver was. He needed that money.
Yes, Snowmageddon.
That reminds me, just as a little sidetrack on this one for a bit. One of my favorite things, this was usually an Anime Boston thing, but I think it's happened with some other cons. Actually, for sure has happened at other cons. When doing an Uber, one of my favorite things is you always have the radio station or CDs or Spotifys that you and your family and loved ones all listen to. When you're in a car with someone else, it is completely randomized what you're going to get. I could be listening to hip-hop. I could be listening to classical music. I could be listening to a preacher man. I could be listening to talk radio who's like, rah, liberals, where do they do the liberals of the liberal? And I love the fact that it's always randomized. I've been introduced to songs that have become part of like our lives because of this, especially country. Some like weird country songs we'll hear sometimes, or what have you. And it's probably one of my favorite parts of the experience is what's the random radio station going to be. But one of my favorites is whenever I get like the preacher guy. Preacher guy is great because you go to a con and you're hearing something like, and there I was having a vision about, what I want to be when I get there, and who do I want to be, and what have you. Although I think my favorite one was I can't remember. It was celebrity is the wrong word, but it was a celebrity guy coming in. I want to say it's the guy who hosts Family Feud, and he was talking about how his prayer, his mentality with prayer, and he had this cool little thing he said, which was, I don't pray for a bigger paycheck. I pray for an extra zero on my paycheck. And I'm like, that stuck with me. I'm like, I like that one. Yeah, let's make that the prayer. You made 10,000 this year. That's great. Let's make 100,000 next year. I mean, 100,000. Let's make $1 million.
All right, next last story of the slide deck. This is a recent one. It doesn't relate to conventions, but because 2020 just kind of had killed like just fandom get-togethers. I thought this was also worth sharing because this is a me driving in LA story, and anyone who's had the experience of driving in LA, that's a special skill. Like, if there are people who have anxiety about driving in LA, I don't blame you. But as someone who has had driving anxiety for a good part of their life and is now like just navigating the streets of LA in their Honda, this was a very interesting story that I had. So Bluefin decided to open up a Gunpla pop-up shop, and this is opening weekend. I just happened to be in Burbank, and just kind of on a whim, I decided, like, you know what? I could drive over to Little Tokyo right now, pick up a couple of things. It's opening weekend. They probably might have some exclusives I'm not aware about, and I could probably pick up a couple of things that he might be into. I mean,
I got my Easy 8.
Mm-hmm. So let me just go down to Little Tokyo, just check it out. And then I've never done Little Tokyo from Burbank. I've done Little Tokyo from South Bay. I've done Little Tokyo from Orange. And I still have a lot of anxiety about driving in downtown Los Angeles.
I think everyone should.
Everyone should. But, you know, some people are more aggro than others, and those are the people that scare me on the road. But, like, you know, I'll do it for fandom. I'll do it for Gundam. So, ended up driving. Okay, the fly is here. I have these. Right. Fly, where are ya?
Mm-hmm. I'm watching too much of that franchise.
I love that franchise. Mm-hmm. But yeah, getting back to the Gundam franchise here. So I leave Burbank, and then I end up being in the wrong lane, and that lane is an exit-only lane. And that takes me into the Hollywood Bowl area. Okay, I could probably figure out side streets to get back to the freeway where I need to be. Because I kind of wish I kind of had that driver's knowledge that your dad has, my dad has, of like knowing where all the streets in LA just kind of intersect and just kind of like take you into the freeway. But thank goodness,
driving the streets of LA more and more and more.
Thankfully, I have like my GPS on. I call my GPS MASH because fate reasons, and I call my car saver. And so listen to GPS, and thank goodness for GPS, because otherwise I just kind of be having a panic attack in the middle of Hollywood. It's like. And I was just following the GPS, and then we passed by Echo Lake. If you've been to Walt Disney World, that lake with a dinosaur on it, yeah, that's like Echo Lake as it's ideally meant to be, as in its ideal situation. Echo Lake now is just pretty much a homeless encampment.
Mm-hmm. And
then you're just driving by this place, just kind of feeling uneasy about the situation. And then all of a sudden, this big old fly, like this dragonfly type thing, just like smashes right into like my dashboard. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? And I just kind of like try to windshield wipe it off. I try to like spritz it with my car cleaning fluid dealy. And then I'm like, okay, this is a bad sign. I just want to get on the freeway. And then I just kind of get on the 101 freeway, which is what we want. And if I'm in the same lane, I can get there. And then the thing with parking in Little Tokyo, the one parking garage that everyone just seems to use, I use this because they take card. There's another lot that's there, but it's cash only. And that's usually the lot that I typically use, but I didn't have cash on me at the time. But the lot that's card only, it's pretty steep. And it's almost kind of like an initial D run, because like the curvatures just going around are just pretty steep. It's like you need like initial D music to just kind of feel it. And then just kind of just exiting out, it smells like LA. It's luckily for the pandemic, I was wearing a mask, so I could just breathe my own air, so I don't have to smell that literal crap. It's like, yeah, this is why I don't like going to downtown LA. But I made it, even with driving anxiety, just nearly getting lost in Hollywood and just trying to like avoid and also just murdering like this huge murder dragonfly thing that landed on my dashboard in the middle of Hobo Town. But you know what? I made it. I decided, like, you know what? I suffered enough to get to here. I'm going to splurge on all the Gunpla, as you can see here. And you're happy, because what did you get out of that bag?
I got my Easy 8s. We got a couple of figure, what's the term they use for the figure models. And I think we ended up getting the stand as well, because I think I built the stand the first day. I built one of the stands. I have another stand I haven't built. Because they require a screwdriver, and I don't normally pull the screwdrivers. But I now have Yakushiki floating in the air looking all badass.
Okay, and we have 3 submitted stories that we would like to share with you.
Submissions. It makes this easier.
Mm-hmm.
Less work for me.
All right, so this one comes from Robbie Pleasant. He's also part of CWF, and he's also one of our regular players on our Dapper Bard stream. He plays a Minotaur. So here's his story. Anime Expo. Oh, wow. We haven't even talked about Anime Expo on the stream.
I don't have a lot of bad travel stories for Anime Expo.
Neither do I. It's just like just going on the 110 freeway and you're there.
Yeah.
Boom.
But he's coming from Northern California, I believe.
Yes. He's coming from, well, I think at the time this when he was from the land of wine and roses. I used to live up there. Anime Expo. I forget the year. Myself and 4 friends were driving to LA in my mother's car. Halfway from NorCal to SoCal, this car starts overheating. We pull over, let it cool down, do everything we're supposed to do. In the end, though it blew a gasket, we had to take it to a shop. While the car was at the shop, we had to take the train, then bus, and finally get to AX. Oh, shoot. We checked in the hotel a little after midnight on day 0. Oof. Then on the trip back, the bus broke down. Oh my god, I'm sorry, dude.
I've never had that experience. I've had many breakdown experiences, but never a bus breaking down.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I had that car breakdown story at the earlier part of the stream, but at least they gave us a hotel to stay at. We had to take another bus to another train station to get us as close to NorCal as possible. Yeah, I think I know what route you're talking about, Robbie. And it's a pain in the butt. Before our friend's mother picked us up and to drive us the rest of the way, it was a cursed trip both ways. Yeah, it's a good thing that you've had your friend's mom just take you the rest of the way, because getting via bus to train from LA to NorCal isn't that easy. Like, you kind of wish they actually went forward efficiently, just having that train that goes from LA to San Francisco. That'd be nice.
Yeah, but the bullet one I want to make would stop in Modesto.
Modesto?
Yeah.
That's on Northern California?
It's a terrible project, and everyone involved with it should be defenestrated for their incompetence.
Yeah, politics aside, I just think it should just... Yeah, I have thoughts on it. But ideally, I would like it to exist, but not in the manner that they were pursuing it, so to speak.
I think everyone wants good, mass
efficient
transit options in California where you don't have to be in a car all the time, and they refuse to do it in any sort of way that would be good, efficient, affordable, or usable.
All right, this comes from a friend of ours, Neko from Boston. Remember when I talked about Cat SnowCon? This is Cat SnowCon, the beginning, the origin. All right, here we go. Back to 2003. This story involves myself, my friend Miss R, and a third party we both since dubbed Psycho Fanboy.
No.
Okay. I like where this is going.
All right.
It was a goddamn traumatic event, so I'm sorry if this narrative is a bit jumbled. No worries, you're valid. Back in ye old days of East Coast con travels, driving was preferred over flying.
I understand.
Grab some friends, pull all your cosplay in the car, and go! Katsu that year was held at the Hyatt Regency, Crystal City, Arlington, Virginia. After previous disasters, Baltimore waterfront experiment, Psycho Fanboy was the group driver, and also our hotel roomie, etc., etc. We have known him for about a good year at this point, so not like a couple of complete rando. Numerous AIM chats. I remember AIM chats.
That was my preferred way of communicating with people.
a couple of AtCon hangout. A few times he drove in for Power arcade nights. I miss Power. Weirdly enough, this didn't bother us back then. Idiot 20-year-olds we were. He had to drive 2 hours to get us first. We were in Massachusetts. He was not. Anyway, AtCon drama aside, because, ooh boy, did the crack start showing then. Let me tell you about the actual travel horror. Coming home after the convention. Sunday, it snowed. Virginia doesn't know what to do with snowstorms, especially of this caliber. So everything started to a grinding halt. Flights were delayed. Many con-goers were piling up in the lobby to start their impromptu post-con party. But our ride insisted we leave immediately in his manual transmission car. Snow elements to be damned.
You know how to use it. You can do better with a manual transmission than you can in a automatic if you know what you're doing.
Oh, P.S. The storm is apparently historic, and she drops a link of North American Blizzard of 2003, the Wikipedia link. So wiki that, if you will. Anyway, sorry, my horror story. Sunday noon, the three of us get in a car and attempt leaving. Did I mention a manual transition car? Because half the time, the reason we kept getting stuck. Within seconds, not even minutes, the car got stuck in snow. And some very nice people passing by Height Shell had to push us out.
This means he didn't know what he was doing with the transmission. You could have powered through that stuff. My dad has stories of using a manual transmission on a car and kicking some ass through some snowstorms.
Already, we're off to a start. In 12 hours, we went something like 60 miles, and we were stuck many, many times in the snow. Finally, the starter died completely. As we tried to get into the I-95, we had to sit there for half an hour till a passing kind stranger could jumpstart us and had to push us out again. And again, being a New Englander, more used to this weather.
You couldn't even bump start if there's that much snow.
I don't mean it. It took this long for someone to stop. I mean, it took this long to see another driver on the road. At one of these earlier snowbank stops, our driver got out of the car and my friend came out with him. I stayed in the car, didn't realize to turn everything off, and didn't bother with hazard lights. When they were gone, a snowplow only has the locals finally put snowplows on the road, drives, and buries the car like literally. I'm still in here, just buried inside the snowbank. Oh my goodness, poor girl.
I would be freaking out. That's not something I'm mentally equipped for.
Yeah. I can't imagine being in that situation. Final straw breaks the last gamel's back. Our driver decided we gotta stop for the night. Pull over to the next motel, drag our butts into the room, and pass out for the night. Bright and early Monday morning, car battery was frozen dead, and we had to stay an extra day. Absolutely nothing nearby was open anyway. Zero chance of AAA. We had no choice. I am sick now. Cats had played jokes aside. All the snow and sudden temp drops did me no favors. Miss R still chipper, as this is a fun adventure. Cycle fanboy, just generally annoyed. We are basically snowed in here. The roads are still in no state to drive in. We discovered a Walmart across the street. 2 of them make up a snacks run plus NyQuil for me, and alcohol.
Well, I think that's what I would be on high my purposes too if I was snowed in.
This is like shining level.
Because I know that if I have no beer and no TV, Jared will go something.
This last one was news to me, as we New Englanders back then had different laws. No place could sell it on Sunday. No big chain stores didn't bother having booze at all. This is just a dumb footnote, really. The more important info is, well, I was already 21. Miss R was not. And Psycho Fanboy was older than us both. A bunch more bullshit drama and someone getting a bit too handsy. Miss R absolutely drinking. Finer details are being blocked out. My fever haze really took to break recall, which basically climaxed in the middle of the night with the driver being much drunk and horny rambling about Hermione and the Harry Potter movie was on the telly. Ooh, and all you youngins may not remember, old cell phones had unique chargers. Yes, I had a Nokia block.
Yeah, I had a Razor whatever around this time, and I could only charge other Razors.
Yeah, I had like the Nokia block thing that was like a rock that you could throw at people.
It wasn't Razor, it was Motorola or whatever.
Yeah, I went from the Nokia to the BlackBerry to the Razr Chocolate or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And then
really
eventually
nice
went
where
iPhone.
Basically, we have two different types of chargers now, and sometimes you'll have charger things that have to split cords, so you can do both anyways.
Every single brand, every single type of phone had a different charger. None of this easy iPhone or Android compatibility. Why is this important? Because my phone was forgotten since Sunday night, and at 4 a.m. now Tuesday. The hostility in the room got so bad. I ran away across the street to Walmart, which is closed, so determined to sit outside until opening at 6, 7 to buy a charger. Did you know that slight sight of random, clearly upset girl sitting in the freezing snow, holding on to a plush animal, gets the cops called? Aww.
Yeah, I can see someone saying that, like, okay, this is a thing.
Don't ask why. Brought the plush with me. Imagine like this kawaii version of Jack Torrance from The Shining, like just holding like a plush. Don't ask why I brought the plush with me. A sick me clearly needs the comfort. I don't blame you. Maybe Jack Torrance would have been happier if he had a plush when he was frozen in snow. That's right, the opening shift whomever at Walmart didn't actually open a door to let me sit in the lobby or anything. Instead, they called the cops, who showed up much under the impression I was a troubled teenager, and 20 minutes of checks were disappointed I was a full-on legal adult and could be left alone to freeze out here. They kept asking why I was so determined to sit out here, and I kept stubbornly repeating that I am waiting for the store to open because I need to buy a phone charger. I'm losing my voice and running a fever here. Good times. Cops leave. The store isn't supposed to open for another half hour, but they feel bad. Do lets me in. Blasts heat on full. Lets me be. The goddamn story keeps going. Don't worry, there's a few more paragraphs.
Only a few more.
I buy my charger, walk back into the hotel. It's daylight now. They're opening up continental breakfast. A bunch of guests are wandering in for free bagels, etc., etc. I quietly make myself some tea, plug my newly purchased cable into the nearest outlet, plug in the phone, and do nothing. So it was complete and utter surprise to me when 20 minutes or so, when the hotel staff comes to tell me to return to my room because apparently I am a problem. Have zero idea of the details here. So sorry. I know before I run off, so maybe 3 a.m. We absolutely had some drunken commotion in our room, and some other guests may have complained. Probably while I was gone, someone may have sobered up enough to realize I was missing and could not be contacted. No idea. Fill your own blanks here.
I would go on the point of that if she's that messed up, she's probably hair disheveled, clothes disheveled, looking all sick, and everyone is like, I don't know, that person's like creeping me out. Can they go back to their room or be thrown out, please?
The censored story doesn't end. Back in the room, Miss R is glad I'm back, but also has no memory of the previous night. Psycho fanboy is sobering him and clearly recalls my cockblock defense, so he pissed. Basically, my drive party is all, Anna, why are you insane, overreacting drama queen? Oh no. Car revive, roads are more or less okay now. We get back driving up north. Except this fucker decided to detour. Instead of straight driving around, he pulled over to Mitsuwa in New Jersey. For dinner?
There's a Mitsuwa in New Jersey?
Yeah, there's a Mitsuwa in New Jersey. All the New York kids go to the Mitsuwa in New Jersey.
Okay.
Again, full-on flu, fever haze, not sick me. At this point, would have taken her bags, her friend, and gone straight to the bus station. But this is then. Instead, I had to sit there and have him lecture me on being a bitch and spend another 4+ hours in the car to get home. Oh my goodness, you poor thing. Oh no. I have no words for you. I need to give you like a retro hug.
We need to vet these stories so we can do the really depressing one first and then go into stuff that might make us laugh.
Meanwhile, I'm just going in order of what was submitted to me.
That is fine. This is the first time doing this, but that's my rule from now on. We need to, or let me close with a sillier story so that no matter how depressing the submitted stories get, there's a silly story at the end.
And this one was submitted to us by our friend 16-Bit Laughter last night.
Oh, I followed that person on the Instagram.
Yeah, we go to Disneyland with them, and we're eventually going to cosplay from Cinderella as the stepsisters. All right, 16-Bit Laughter. I went on 2015 AX. Another AX one. I went on day 2 because I just recently started my first serious job and was almost done with the probation period. I was going to be Hyrule Warriors Zelda that day, so there was a lot of armor to wear.
Mm-hmm.
In order to be comfy, I basically wore the armor in the car until we got to the con so I can put the rest at the con. Here's where things go downhill. First off, this was actually my first cosplay where I rushed to progress. Secondly, as we drove on the freeway, we apparently got a flat tire that was caused by a shrapnel left over from an accident on the freeway. Oof.
Yeah, that can happen.
Mm-hmm. So we had to pull over, go get it checked out. Side of road, we stood and waited for the AAA and was unpaved at all. And guess what I found crawling on the ground? Fire ants!
Oh, God.
So here we are, partially armored Zelda and Link, my boyfriend, trying to avoid fire ants as someone for AAA luckily helped us with the tire. After that, it was somewhat decent, though I almost got late for a shoot, but luckily my other Link cosplay partner was understanding, and many of my friends were worried when I said we had car trouble on the freeway. But we all laughed it off in the end. Bonus points, my hip pauldron came off right after the shoot, so take that. Flat tires and fire ants. Alright, that was from 16-bit laughter.
Okay, good. That was a much more lighthearted story. Yeah, it really sucks having the costume that you're like, this thing, with one strong gust of air, half of this is going to fall apart. And I think you and I both had costumes in that category. We're like, it's just need to get through the photo shoot, and then if this all falls apart afterwards, it doesn't matter. Fix it later.
Alright, so just kind of wrap things up. Here are some ideas for our next episode of Convention Tea. So, our next episode we were thinking about having something about, like, just talking about characters we cosplay as and why we cosplay them. And this is a panel that we wanted to do when conventions were, like, back on track. And maybe if we do this as a live stream, maybe we can just kind of get some ideas how we want to do this. The idea is called cosplay versus character. So it's pretty much just looking at the characters we cosplay as, why we cosplay them, but looking at from the perspective of a relational versus aspirational mindset.
The two types of heroes.
Yes. Anime Expo, the Long Beach years. So if you're around to remember Anime Expo in Long Beach.
I have some great stories.
Yes. I too have stories about being a troublesome teenager. Anime Expo, the Anaheim years.
I have less troublesome stories, honestly. Most of those stories are pretty good. But there is one from my friend getting a compliment from a Japanese artist, which is pretty cool.
I do have a few victory stories from this, and I also have a few, like, hi, we're weird and we're out and about kind of stories. Like the time we went to this one Chinese restaurant in cosplay.
Oh, my better story for that is Sakura.
Conventioning with anxiety. Yeah.
I have a great story for that one, too.
As do I. And how one panel eventually just helped calm down my nerves after having a panic attack. Panels that go wrong. Sometimes you're sitting at a panel like, what is going on here?
Oh, I've been at
plenty
of terrible panels, but I've also had panels where, like, I wanted to throw an Axl Rose. So I don't know if I can tell those stories as well.
We'll figure it all out. Death by Masquerade, backstage stories.
You have more of those than I do.
I do, but we also want to take some contributions from you guys. So we want to hear from you cats. And if you got some horror stories to share with us, you want us to read them aloud on our stream, more than happy to. And if you also want to include your socials in there, we can also create a slide for you if you want to just drop some photos. More than happy to just cross promote. I have no issue with that. Closing remarks. You can follow us on our YouTube channel, Scarlet Rhapsody, Convention Cultured. There's 2 Scarlet Rhapsody channels. There's one that's more on the archival side of things, and there's another one which hosts all of our podcasts and all of our live streams. And that's one of the channels that will be hosting the recording of this stream. Twitter, Cons and Churros. Just follow us on there. We also post some theme park stuff on there too. And we're also taking a little bit of a direction of our theme park food channel that Jared over here hosts, because we'll be covering food that has appeared in pop culture.
Because we have no theme parks to go to.
Yeah, like, we
Well,
miss you.
On the West Coast, at least.
Alright. You can follow our Twitch, well, my Twitch channel, Dame Asmal. You can follow his Twitch channel, Dapper Bard Tavern.
Yeah, I'll start streaming video games again. Just life.
But yeah, just check out our socials here. And we also have them on our bio. Check us out. And remember, comment us what you make of it. So make it a good one. Don't lose your way.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you the next time we stream.
Since we can't see you at the camera.